The #1 selling eyeshadow palette at Sephora currently, it is none other than the Makeup by Mario Master Mattes palette, the Neutrals. Let's talk today about why this is the #1 selling palette. What is it about it that is flying off the shelves, and pretty much the only eyeshadow palette really kind of flying off the shelves. We're going to talk about this in the context of what is trending in makeup right now. So if all that interests you, stick around and we're going to dive right on in. All right, guys, so welcome back to the channel. I am Cher, and the reason that I wanted to do a video on this particular eyeshadow palette, it's not a review video. I've already actually done one of those on this palette when it first came out, but I am finding it so interesting that this is the #1 seller at Sephora for eyeshadow palettes, and there is an overall discussion in the beauty community right now with a lot of other influencers and creators, a lot of makeup artists out there. Everyone's saying eyeshadow is dead. So we're going to talk about it. And for the eyeshadow palette lovers out there like myself, and especially those who love their color and all of that, I know this sounds like terrible news, and maybe you've been rolling your eyes if you've been hearing this, and maybe you've decided, I don't care. I don't care what the trends are. They can pry my colorful eyeshadow palettes from my cold, dead hands. Totally there with you. Totally there. But for those of you who are curious about what is trending and kind of wearing your makeup in a little bit fresher, more up-to-date way, and what is popular and what is probably going to also make you look a little younger. You're going to pull off some younger looks, something that's going to make you feel amazing and fresh and really polished and young, and you didn't even realize that these were the trends that were making that happen. Then you're going to want to stick around for this little guide and tutorial. So let's talk real quick about this eyeshadow palette, why it is trending. So a lot of the folks at Sephora and Ulta are sharing data that eyeshadow palette sales are just down in general. What is trending kind of out there is not eyeshadow. And if it is eyeshadow, it's neutrals. It's very, very subtle, neutral looks that you barely tell somebody has eyeshadow on. It's just enough to give you a little like contour or extra color, or like just, you know, so your eyes aren't just blank, maybe so it's covering veins, what have you, but not a lot going on in eyeshadow. And that, I think, is why this palette is #1. And it is especially designed, a lot of makeup artists use this palette and his other Master Matte palette. Makeup by Mario products are actually really, really trending and very popular, both with makeup artists, but also with the general public. His stuff is a lot of the top selling items out there. I think it is kind of almost like the new ABH in that he makes a lot of perfect neutrals and pinks tones, and the things that people wear for their everyday looks, they feel like they can still do their makeup like a makeup artist, but with the tones that really work and make them feel a little bougie and a little put together. But he makes wonderful things for makeup artists like myself. I do some freelance makeup, and this has actually been in my kit because I know that I can have a full range of background matte shadows to go with whatever toppers I'm going to use. And it's really easy for me. In a nutshell, why this is #1 is that it's an easy range of just general neutral eyeshadows that are simple and that are easy. So I've kind of answered our overriding question right off the bat. So let's go ahead and we're going to do a look and talk about some top trends that we're seeing, even though we're at the end of this year of 2024, just kind of talk about what is trending in makeup then, along with our neutral eyeshadows. And I'm going to show you how we work our neutral eyeshadow to make it trending. That's going to be one of the steps. This side, I'm going to wear the makeup and talk about the trend of what I think is current. And on this side of the face, we're going to do what I think is kind of not as current. So let's get started. And I also have some lovely friends here to join us today. I don't know where these popped up from. I don't normally have a lot of acne, but I've been a little sick and I've been out sweating really bad at this festival and I've just kind of got a little breakout going on. But it's going to actually be helpful for us because in part of what we're talking about to demonstrate to you. Trend number 1 is natural brows. You guys have heard me talking about this several times. The block brows of like, what, 2010 through 18 or so, not as current. All right, so I'm going to show you what I mean. So the way that we all really got used to doing our brows is we'd come in here, we'd map it, we'd do our little brow mapping even, take it over to like inside corner, and then we'd almost create like a square even. And we draw this baby on. Look at there. So we have these big drawn on almost square brows, and we were so proud of them. Okay, obviously this is very exaggerated, but this is how I still see people sometimes wearing theirs. And maybe they don't have a square, they might have a little bit more even flatter version that's not so big. Maybe it's a little rounder, but it's still the same idea. It's very drawn on. Not a lot else happening here, just a very drawn on brow. Let's talk about the more current way to do the brows. By the way, I'm using the Benefit Brow 3.5, my go-to. You guys know if you've been around, that's my go-to. I'm going to take the other end of it and I'm first going to kind of brush it. I am going to follow more of the natural shape of my brow. I'm still going to apply a little pencil for me, only because I have some sparse areas in my brows. I am 46. I also have some scarring from when I was a kid. I had to have stitches in my brows. And so wherever that scarring is, I have like actual empty space. And so it makes things patchy and hard to do my brows, to be honest with you. But if you have a better, you know, natural curvature and plenty of brow hair, I started to say brow fur, brow hair, then you're going to be in better shape than me. And you might not even need a pencil, but I still use a pencil to try to kind of come back over those bare spots. And I need a mirror because I also can't see with my 46-year-old eyes. I have to have like a magnifying mirror. So I do come in and I do a little bit of pencil, but in order to keep from having this effect where it's straight line, I'm going to really brush them out with the spoolie and just work on brushing. And then I've shown you guys this trick before, but I'm gonna do it again. I like to come here on the ends and pull it this way because that kind of helps really fluff it out. And then I go back to brushing it upwards. In more recent trends, we saw the really like exaggerated fluffy brows, which were like waxed down and like you see all these little brow hairs. I think that that's fading out a little bit towards the end of this year now, but we're still seeing a little texture. We still want a little bit of texture. We want it to look like your natural brow hairs, not a line. So that's what I'm doing is I'm not going to the extent of those crazy, really fluffy, like really textured brows, but like kind of a happy medium. So this could even be where you leave it, but I personally still like a little bit of a laminated effect. So I come back in with a brow gel as opposed to a brow soap. A brow soap is what is going to give you those really like fluffy, locked down brows that might scare you of what I'm talking about. So I don't really use that a lot. I think we're in that happy medium place these days, so more of a brow gel. I'm actually going to use the NYX brow glue. That's what I'm using at the moment. It's a lot more, I don't want to say sticky, but holding in place than other like laminators. It does really draw on those little hair-like strokes more and lock them in place, but it's not quite to the extent of a wax. There we have it. So do you see the difference between the two sides? Here is last season, this season. So now we are to step number 2, principle or trend number 2, and that is either bare eyes or neutral eyes. So here is the thing, guys. The eyes are kind of out now. Heavy, smoky eyeliners are out. Colorful, lots of color on the eyeshadow are out. But mascara is still in. You kind of use your mascara as your eyeliner for the most part, or you can do some brightening eyeliners, or maybe the softest little touch of eyeliner that helps define the eyes. But for the most part, we want very minimal, neutral eyes. I know, it sucks. I'm not loving this trend either, guys. Believe me, this is not my favorite. I am a makeup girl, so this year is not cool to me. And in general, this is the theme. What we're seeing is minimalist makeup. That's what the theme of 2024 is, except for in the area of blush. Blush is the new eyeshadow. Okay, so where we are putting color is in this area, cheeks and lips. Don't shoot the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. Okay, so we can either keep them kind of just bare like this, or what is the use of the Makeup by Mario palette is going to be just a neutral color. If you don't have the Makeup by Mario palette, then you take your contour or bronzer and you use the color out of there. So, but it's pretty much all going to be these neutral colors. I'm going to pop on, I think that one's pretty. I'm going to do that one. Gonna kind of create like a arch here, and almost like we're just really just contouring the eyes, or leave them blank, either way. So I'm using this one. So we're just adding a little color. On this side though, I started to use the same thing, but do some color of some kind. What will we have done with this palette? We would do something at least colorful. So like we'd go in with that brown and at least make something smoky, right? We'd be like, hello, I want some color. I want something different. Let's do this. And we'd come in and smoke it up, right? And then we'd probably be like, ooh, blue, let's do some blue. So I'd probably throw a little pop of blue right there. I might even come in and do a little halo eye or something. There we go. We're even going to put in some halo eye and make it really pretty, right? Why not? And don't forget our inner corner. Give us a little highlight here. For sure. And there we go. I'm excited. I've got a little bit of like something going on besides just boring neutral, right? So here's the difference. Last season, this season. Next, we're going to go for eyeliner. And of course, we need a huge wing. Big, giant wing. And we are going to map this baby out. What are we going to do on this side? Not much, guys. We're going to tightline it. We're going to give you just a little bit, but not too much. A tiny little brush. And I'm actually going to go in more with like the dark brown, maybe. I am going to line along my lashes, okay? And I know that this is kind of hard for some, you know, tight lining is a little bit more of an advanced skill. And you can see even I'm like, my eyes are watering. And definitely my clients, when I get up in their eyeballs and do this, they're like, but you can tell there's a line there, but it's not like really thick and up, you know, into the eyeball, but it does give me just a little hint of definition. I'm also, I would say at this point, a lot of folks would not even wear anything underneath here. It would just be mascara at this point, but I can't do that. I have to have something underneath. Something. So I am going to come in with maybe this at first, like a softer medium color. And I'm also going to use, if I want more eyeliner, I'm going to use more of a brightening one. Something that opens the eyes and looks very clean but isn't dark. So I'm using the Tarte Fake Awake. And I'm putting it into my waterline. And bring that same color I used on my eyes, just a little like right here. Add just a little bit more, but not much. And I'm going to have concealer under here too. But on this side, we're going to do the way we did it in the past. And that is, of course, with an eyeliner. So we're going to come in and, of course, we're going to line with eyeliner. So let's look at the difference so far in our eyeliner. Here is last season, current season. Now we get to the mascara. Mascara is the great uniter. This hasn't changed. We want mascara and we want a lot. We're going to move on to number 3, trend number 3, which is our base. So basically everything is minimalist these days, which this is a really hard one for me. I think the eyeshadow is hard for a lot of folks, but the hardest trend for me this season is in the base because it's very minimal. Everybody is all about skin is in. Well, look at my skin right now. No, I gotta cover this. And I have always been a full coverage girl, very full coverage. And I love the look of it. I don't love the look of natural skin. I don't love the look of like freckles showing through sometimes. I'm not big on it, but that is absolutely what's trending. The most minimal amount of foundation and concealer and powders possible is what's in. So I'm going to do on this side of the face what I'm most comfortable with, but isn't as in. And then we'll work on this side of the face. I'm going to use my YSL, which I got, and I'm going to share in one of my hits or miss videos with you guys. This is definitely a hit. Love it so much. I would typically come in with, you know, my primer to cover everything. Look at that smoothing already. It's so good. And I'd come in with a full coverage foundation on top of that. And I'm going to use my Arbonne that I've used on clients many times. It's not like the tippity top full coverage, but it's pretty up there, like medium to full, and you can build it up. And that is absolutely me. We're going to do full coverage all the way. I would come in with a really full coverage concealer also, which I would normally say like Tarte Shape Tape, but I don't feel like getting it out of my kit. So I'm going to use the e.l.f. Camo Concealer instead because it's pretty full coverage too. Now, what's a little bit past trending too was to do more brightening. We always did brightening for brightening for our concealer. And we always did these little like triangle things too, right? I can't even do it anymore. It's like this, like the triangles under the eyes. So we got it really full coverage, right? So this brightening concealer where we wear it like 3 shades lighter than our skin tone is not our friend anymore. But this is how we all wore it, right? Then we'd come back in with our setting powder. And girl, we would bake, bake, bake. Maybe a little here. And we would let that sit and bake. Even come in with a finishing powder. There is our base. Lots and lots of foundation. Lots of concealer that's lighter than the skin tone. And lots of powder. That's the old way. Let's discuss the new way. Absolutely want very hydrated skin. Skincare is huge in this current trend, right? So I'm going to make sure I have really moisturized first and have a glow from within. But glowy skin isn't necessary. We want a little glow, like glowing glass skin was kind of really in last year. Now it's kind of more just that bare natural, but maybe a little glow. Okay. So first step is definitely moisture. This is where it gets uncomfortable for me. Use something more like a skin tint, a foundation stick, something maybe more in like a stick style or balm style. I'm gonna use the Charlotte Tilbury. There's some mixed reviews on it because it is very, very oily. Like, it can almost be greasy. But this is where you're gonna only cover where you really need it. Okay, I got these major spots going on, so I am gonna cover those for sure. And I get a lot of spots right in here where all my age spots are. And there's like maybe a little darkening and like freckles right around here. I don't have a lot though up on my forehead, so I'm gonna keep that minimal. And I maybe have a few more spots down here I would want to cover, but very minimal. I'm not gonna spread it like all over the face. So I'm really just kind of putting it where I need it, and then I'm gonna kind of blend it out where I need it to. Now, this particular skin tint though is so glowy, so it may not have been the best example, but you're getting kind of the difference in, can you see the difference between the two sides? If like, this is my skin really showing through in a very glowy way. And this side is just like full coverage caked on, okay? That's kind of what I want to highlight to you, is very minimal. Then I've got the Natasha Denona High Glam Concealer, and this is my same skin tone for the most part. So I'm going to use the concealer just where I need it. Now, I'm going to put orange in there, do it like right about there. I'm even going to use an orange concealer, just a little dab. This is NYX, like a peach color. And I am literally coming in here with that because it's going to cancel out any of the gray under there, like blue cast, you know, from our eye bags. And I am going to very subtly and carefully kind of wisp and dab and blend it in. But I want it the same as my skin tone, not a brightening. Because, again, everything is more natural and skin-like these days. And if I still have spots I want to cover, I can come back over those with the concealer, like those, that red spot there. And even like a green color corrector would be good on acne. There we have it. And then I'm still going to do a teeny bit of setting powder, but we're going to do more of a wisping, not baking. So just kind of powdering around. So here is our trend number 3, which is natural base. So here is the current side, current trending, previous trending. Okay guys, so here is where we can actually add the fun, and this is where the color starts happening. Blush is the new eyeshadow. The color that we get to have in 2024 is going to be in blush and lips, especially blush. It's all about the blush. So 2024 trends is for blush, 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 and that is why we see blush exploding everywhere. But I'm going to start off with my bronzer. I'm still going to apply it just for some extra definition. And, you know, bronzer is still in for sure. We're still going with some of those natural minimalist themes these days. So we're just doing like a little touch. Now I'm going to go right about here and pretty fluffy with it. Okay. Kind of bronzing. Still in some of the same spots, but I think that it was a little more sculpted before. So it was all about sculpting, you know, very chiseled looks before, you know, we had to get it all mapped just right with our contouring and highlighting. So almost like skinny face, you know. I did not put that in the right place. You get the idea. So this is kind of our old way. All right, this is more of our new way. So this is where we start coming in with the fun. On this side, I'm going to try out my new Merit. This is in the shade Beverly Hills. And we're going to kind of put it about where I put the bronzer. And see how that sinks into the skin. I am going to actually come in with some Fenty Cream blush that is bright, okay? And we're going to just lay down some of those same spots. Now, on this side, we're going to go with a little bit more toned down blush. I'm just going to use the blush in my ABH, and this would be like perfect, you know, not too scary blush. And we'd kind of bring it up the cheeks, right? Upwards motion, kind of above where we put our contour. Right now, though, what is trending is a little lower. It's not necessarily flattering for everybody, I'm not gonna lie, but it is kind of a little more trending. It's blush like everywhere, basically. So we're gonna scoop a little bit more on. We're gonna start kind of at the apple, but we're gonna take this a little more sideways now. And we could even go down a little bit in this almost like a triangle downward shape. I'm not gonna do that because I don't feel like it's as flattering on mature skin personally. But it's basically like bringing your blush a little lower than we used to. It's kind of what's called boyfriend blush. And the idea is that it's wherever you like have a natural flush when you're really hot and overheated. Maybe you've been out in the sun. I think it got its name boyfriend blush because of men playing soccer or something, and like that natural flush they'd get or something. Yeah, I've heard different versions of it, but basically we're kind of bringing it more out to the side and even bringing it across the nose. Okay, so this is new. So you're almost getting like, you could even get like that sunburn look where you kind of bring it across the bridge and out and like down. Okay, completely different blush placements, right? This is a little more in. I know it's crazy, but it is what it is. That's kind of like all one monochrome. Having a little pop of highlight too is great. So this is where you can come in with something like the Rare Beauty. See how it has both like the highlight in it and blush. And we can dab that on, but only in like certain spots, like kind of across the top almost, like you would your highlight. Give it a little bit of that extra shine. Not always what I recommend for mature skin. Then we can go in with our actual highlight for even more if you want it glowy. You don't have to do glowy though. I'm gonna pop some out of my ABH, but this time we're putting it right here on the apple here and kind of bringing it up. See what I did? I know it's crazy, I know, but this blush is all the rage. Now on this side though, we would just place our highlight like right about there, right? Then we come do with our lips, and lips are probably about the same. Like we can add whatever color. We don't have to go minimalist on the lips for current trends, and the same in the past. You know, I think lips haven't changed much. Now there are different trends happening where you have, especially like in the fall right now, we're gonna get bolder, like redder, brown, deeps, you know, all of those colors for fall colors. But bold, bright lips are still in now, and I think they were before too. Like, I think that's kind of always been here. But I will say that one trend that is really, really, really different right now is definitely very like glassy lips. And you can see that my little friend here is really poking out with lipstick on. It's driving me crazy. But anyway, so that's the difference. I think that these Huda Beauty, her faux filler lip gloss is a really good example. Okay. On this side, we used to see some matte, maybe a little gloss here and there, but not nearly as pronounced as the glass. I think that's what's really trending. Really, I think that's the only difference in the lips at the moment, but you can still wear the color and the boldness, or you can wear them neutral, like however, but I think what's really changed is that glass finish is what you like, almost sloppy, glossy, And of course, we can't forget to bake over here. It was all about the baking, right? And baking like right here. And on this side, if you feel like you have too much of like a sunglass line, or it's just a little too much, you can kind of tone it down a little bit with a finishing powder. Okay, and then last step, I did come back in with another touch of a third layer of blush here. I actually put this one on top of all of that to add even more, and I even brought it over towards the nose even more because it's just like all one seamless amount of looking blush. And that's a big key right now with the blush, is like you're layering blush. So you do tend to see at least 2 shades of blush, sometimes a third shade of blush, all stacked on each other to create all one. So big deal. Blushes are huge. So this is the trend right here. Blush, blush, blush. So let's take a peek at everything up close and see the difference between the two sides now that we have a finished look. So here is this side, which is full coverage, lots of powder. We didn't really do like the cloud powder trend, but just a lot of baking, because that's what has been kind of over the last decade, I think, in makeup. Baking, baking, baking. Lots and lots of foundation, concealer, and the concealer's a lot brighter and lighter than the rest. Our blush is pretty minimal and goes upwards. Our contour, or our bronzer that we use as contour, is very sculpted, a lot heavier on the nose, and very heavy eye makeup with some color. Heavy brows that are drawn as a line, although they're starting to look more natural now on me, aren't they? But, Now we look at this side. Try not to look at my lip zit. And yeah, lots and lots and lots of blush, glassy lips. Just pretend the zit isn't there. Natural brows and very minimal eye makeup and very minimal base. So, which side's your favorite? Did you learn something new? Are you sticking to your old ways and you're just like, nope, not gonna do it? Or did you learn something new, something you might try to pick up and incorporate into your routine? Let me know. All right, guys, so that wraps it up for today. If you enjoyed this, you'll want to stick around and pop that subscribe. I am loving doing some fun makeup lessons like this and trends and tips. I do a lot of other stuff though, reviews, beauty boxes, especially spoiler queen for you, unboxings and whatnot. So if all of that sounds fun to you, you'll want to stick around, pop that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye.